he wanted to sit in the back, I forced him to move up and sit in the front and pay attention. He's as bored as you guys are. This is Tom. He's sat on every one of your tests so far as I've graded. So wanted to make the introduction so you know who's actually been involved in your grading. All right, and now off to more mundane things. Let's look at integration by parts. So I have here an integration by parts formula. Recall the formula that we have, that the integral of u dv is equal to uv, and I'm going to put limits on this because I think people were confused. AB minus the integral of v du, AB. So you're confused about the lines that were being drawn halfway through. Those lines should be there. A paw is showing up in your work. See, there's the paw. So now I'm going to do this problem first, and I'm going to do a second problem, and that should give you a pretty decent idea of how to do integration by parts. Integration by parts to me is simpler than the backward chain rule or substitution. So I have to make a choice here. That's step one. What will be my u and what will be my dv? This is u dv, so I'm going to make a choice. I'm going to choose u to be x because when I take the derivative of u, you can put du here, the derivative of u is 1. And so that makes it easy. It's gotten easier. So I mentally do that right away just to know that, and this should be a to b, by the way, just to let myself know where I'm going. dv is e to the 8x. v is e to the 8x over 8. Now, where would that come from? That comes from actually a substitution rule. And I'm going to do a little aside here to show you that. But like I said, when we do so many integrals, we really don't think about these things anymore. So if e to the 8x dx, without my plus c, my u substitution, I'm going to put u sub here not to confuse it with anything else, is going to be 8x. du sub is going to be 8 dx. dx is 1/8 du sub, and I'm going to stick them all back in there. I get e to the u times 1/8 du sub. I'm just going to skip the du sub so it doesn't matter anymore. So we get now 1/8 e to the u plus c, which is really e to the u over 8 plus c. So that's where this e to the 8x divided by 8 is. It's really easy with integration by parts to come up with something more complex. It's really difficult to find simple problems. I was struggling a little bit to find simple enough problems for you to work on because immediately you'll get things like this. Or sometimes we have to apply integration by parts more than once. And so here I'm going to actually put just a 0 and 1 here for my a and my b, so we have actual numbers. 0 to 1. Okay, let's do this now. I'm going to plug into the formula. The formula is up here with the paw. The integral from 0 to 1 of u to v is u times v evaluated from 0 to 1 minus the integral from 0 to 1 of v to u. See, he looks like you guys do when I'm lecturing too, see? I think he's sleeping. Okay, so down here we have uv, evaluated from 0 to 1 minus the integral of v, which is e to the 8x over 8, du, which was 1, so from 0 to 1. Just to separate my work. But that, as you remember, I was doing several steps at once. I'm going to evaluate this first. Plug in f of b minus f of a. So I'm going to plug in 1 in for x, and then plug in 0 in for x. That's this part here. This whole thing is being evaluated. And then I still have this antiderivative over here. to catch. Not done with that yet. If I simplify this piece right here, over here, this piece now right here becomes e to the 8 over 8 minus 0. So I'm going to leave off the minus 0, and we're just going to have now this second integral to worry about. I'm going to pull this 1/8 out in front. We talked about Kasner a little bit. He was surprised that this was a problem. E to the 8x over 8, which is a little bit above here, it's the same thing as 1/8 times e to the 8x. So I'm going to take that 1/8 out and pull it up to the front. And now I really have this guy here left, which is really e to the 8 over 8 minus 1/8 e to the 8x over 8. Again, I don't want to even think about doing that by substitution right now because I have enough on my mind. So I almost memorized that e to the 8x over 8 is going to be the antiderivative of e to the 8x. And now I'm ready to make some minus sign errors. Evaluate f of b minus f of a. So that's what I'm doing here now. It's the arrow. So e to the 8 times 1 over 8 minus e to the 8 times 0 over 8. You have this parenthesis missing, it's going to wreak havoc on your final answer. So we have e to the 8 over 8 now minus 1/8 times e to the 8 over 8. And I have no x, so this is actually minus e to the 1, because e to the 0 is just e to the 0 is just 1, so we get 1 here. 1/8. And if you want to combine that, you can. It's messy. I would just leave it. Okay,